let me just say this, because
that's what we're talking about.
I don't think we need to get into this because our video, we do this. This guy was using the deepest, most manipulative things you could probably do to get what he wanted from these girls. He used the most manipulative methods. Yeah. Thus saith the Lord. Okay.
Very controlling, frightening. Right.
Quickly, let's blast through these because you only have 16 minutes and then we're supposed to take off.
Well, Freemasonry, we're going to have to do a whole episode on that. It's really a fraternity of men that we're trying to teach men how to learn a craft and keep their craft secret so that they have trade secrets. Basically, it's how to keep a trade secret so that not anybody can just come and build your buildings and earn a certain wage. It's kind of like unions and trade secrets. And that's a philosophical concept we still have today. We have ways to maintain your IP and keep it from being plagiarized. And that ceremony, that was all put into a ceremony of Hiram Abiff with the intent of keeping everything secret. So there's nothing secret in the ceremony, but you commit to keeping things so secret that it is easy to keep any discussions you have in a Masonic meeting secret.
Right. You're used to just being quiet.
Especially in the 19th century. It was just, so that's a rundown on Masonry.
And I'm sure there's much more.
A lot, right? But it's not
like ruling the world. These people aren't
ruling the world. No.
Okay.
But it could feel that way if you have a secret meeting and you spawn the French Revolution.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
So there is some,
but that kind of thing would never exist today because of the internet. You would never be able to keep a Masonic ceremony secret like that, in today's day.
Thank you. Alan Bird, when Joseph Smith gives Emma a revelation, DNC. Oh my gosh, Alan, you are hitting the net. We already dealt with this. So
Derek read
DNC
132.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, Alan, because the video is going to be edited, and we're going to. I think
Derek almost became a Mormon after reading that.
Yeah, right. Oh my! That she will be condemned if she does not accept plural marriage. Why did she still accept him as a prophet? So I think this is worth asking in light of everything, because the video is going to come out. Did she still see him as a prophet after he?
Well, we talked about that. Remember how I said to you, she sees this revelation,
and she knows it's bullshit.
Hiram brings it to her. She rips it up, throws it in the fire, right? And I have to ask that. That's a good question, Alan. I don't know, but it's hard. But remember, I don't know that I think she may have seen him as a prophet as she would have seen any other spiritual leader at the time. It was in the air, the magical worldview of the 19th century. I mean, Joseph Smith's mother, Lucy, thought she had visions and was a prophetess. I think that Emma was co-leading with Joseph. I don't think she thought he was any more of a prophet than she was.
Well, that's why in the thumbnail we put Doctrine and Covenant on the thumbnail.
Yeah, because we read
we went into this. Even Gary said, you've watched most of the stuff out there on the YouTube world, and you said nothing's been dissecting it like that.
Right. That's the first real dissection with historical context. What we did is an exercise that I've seen Derek do before with texts that maybe a biblical scholar will be reading from the Old Testament or the New Testament, and behind it is layered in the historical context, and it really highlights the meaning. And that's what we did. And I don't know where else something like that's been done on Section 132. And I think it's going to be really powerful. By the way, I saw Gary fire, I think. I'm also in Southern Utah. I don't know. We're not going to know each other, but I am in St. George, Utah.
Wow. Doc Floromana, how could the plates quote portions of Deutero-Isaiah written circa 540 BC, 60 years after the band of Hebrews hit the Jaredite subs for Mesoamerica?
Well, that's perfect. except the Jaredite subs, actually, you have that wrong. The Jaredite subs left the Middle East around the time of the Tower of Babel. So there were two journeys of Hebrew Jews leaving the Middle East and going to America. One was the Jaredites, which is actually talked about at the end of the Book of Mormon.
Uh-huh.
And then the Nephites, which are the ones that left Jerusalem at around 540 BC. And the whole story in the Book of Mormon is that they have to leave. They have to leave Israel because it's going to be destroyed. It was well known in the 19th century that Israel was destroyed by Babylon. Like,
right.
There were hymns about it, right? Oh, Babylon, right? So this was well known. Oliver Cowdery knew this story well, right? As he's helping, dictate this or author the book. And what was really smart, but a mistake for Oliver Cowdery and Joseph Smith to do is to say, let's make sure we bring what was the first 5 books of Moses called?
Pentateuch?
The Pentateuch.
Yeah.
But isn't that the Greek version?
No, Septuagint.
Septuagint. So the Pentateuch.
But then again, the Septuagint encompasses the whole.
Yeah, but it's not the Torah.
Not sure if there's Torah. Yeah, the Torah is the law, but it depends on who you're asking too. That's another complicated issue because when you say what is the law, like some people might go to Deuteronomy alone. It depends. So
in the Book of Mormon, it basically says we need to bring the law with us.
Okay.
Right. And that was smart for Oliver and Joseph to put into the Book of Mormon. Nephi literally goes to a repository of records. And there's a king there called King Laman. This is all happening in Israel or Judah. I'm not sure where. No, Jerusalem.
Okay.
And we don't know. I don't know where in the Bible you'd find King Laman. But on brass plates was written the law. Right. And according to Nephi and, the Book of Mormon, the first 5 books of Moses and the writings of Isaiah are contained in these brass plates. That was smart, except Oliver Cowdery and Joseph Smith did not know at the time that Isaiah was not written at the time they thought it was, right? Because of Deutero-Isaiah. Because in the Book of Mormon, Nephi and Lehi and their family leave Jerusalem at 540 BC. So this is a big, big gap and a big error that most Mormons don't realize, happened. But there's no way that they could have had the entire book of Isaiah with them when they left America in 600 BC. No,
and I think there's good reasons to doubt that he was even written. It could have been written later than this even. Right. So many good reasons to doubt that. Thank you so much for that. Alan Burt says, is the book Rough Stone Rolling sold by Deseret Bookstore? Bookstore.
Yeah, Rough Stone Rolling is written by a church historian. It's historically accurate. You can definitely feel and sense his apologetic approach.
He's trying to defend.
I don't think
in a way.
I don't think I would call it defend. I think just being charitable, because I think some people that read Rough Stone Rolling will leave the church.
Yeah,
because it does talk about this history. It talks about the rock and the hat. It talks about polygamy, but it doesn't. It certainly doesn't talk about what William Clayton said about getting Margaret Moon pregnant and trying to hide that.
Yeah.
Right. So Rough Stone Rolling's a great book to read, especially for believing Mormons, because it does allow you to understand the church history but maybe not throw you off the edge of your faith crisis.
Interesting. So in a way, it's not really laying it out like it really.
Yeah, I would say it's. I wouldn't call it whitewashed, but I would definitely say it's charitable toward Joseph Smith.
Thank you, Alan.
Oh, my wife.
We got a huge super chat in the house. Hello, Liliana Stone. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so glad it will be on the record. Love listening to this and MythVision. Oh,
I know. I can't.
That is so sweet.
I will see you later tonight, honey.
Thank you.
Love you.
You got a wonderful, wonderful husband. And Gary, you're awesome, man. You lay your heart out on your sleeve. Gary, man, you were squeaky clean, as your testimony says. And when you hear what led up to him leaving and being a father and a husband, that hit me. That hit me because you could be abused all day long by the church.
Right.
And you probably would have still kept going. You already had been.
I already had plenty of times of offenses.
But there's a moment where it's not you anymore.
Right. And I just push past it. Right. So when people say, well, you just left because you got offended, the truth is, like, 48 years in the church, look, I had lots of times where I was offended and I got totally past it. I mean, I know how to do that. It's a very different story when your little, chicklets are involved, right? These are your little babies that you want to protect. I mean, my wife says she's their mama bear. Well, I'm the papa bear, and I feel just as defensive of them. And that really was a critical point for me in, deconstruction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that super chat, Liliana. Am I saying it? Liliana. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Stay tuned for Gary. And Garth again with a super sticker. Garth, thank you again. And it's really cool to see someone who just recently came out.
Oh yeah, Garth did just.
Rough stone rolling will shatter most members' testimony. We weren't taught nearly 80% of what's in there. So it's not even the full. You're saying that's enough to do some damage.
There is. But I agree with Garth. I just think that when I read Rough Stone Rolling, it didn't cause me to leave.
Really?
Right. But it's because I had you can look at this in my story later. I had already been exposed to some of this, way back early on my mission.
Yeah.
So I do think he's right. Rough Stone Rolling does shatter many members' testimony, but there are others that it doesn't. Right. They can use it in a way to be in the way that helps them with their apologetic approach.
Wow. Garth, thank you for that super sticker and being here in the chat. I'm glad to see that. I didn't start that a while ago. I remember him being okay. And I subbed to Gary's channel. Put out tons of content soon, please.
Okay, what kind of content? Because I've got writer's block, Gary.
I think Mormonism.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wanted to avoid that because there's so many people in that space in Utah. You've got Radio Free Mormon, you've got Mormon Stories podcast, John DeLynn, you have a whole bunch of people on TikTok now. And I also don't want to turn off a lot of members of my family, especially on my wife's side, watches that channel. And if I was really, really frank, I think that they would be turned off or scared. I mean, I know that that's probably what I should do. And I also don't know that I have.
Well, you got to do what you got to do,
And I also don't know that I have as much passion about it, or maybe I do. I don't know. But
you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked. You start and you see it. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to promote it and get it out there. I think it's needed. I think to know where this comes from and the harm that it's causing other chicklets. Yeah. For me, I can't speak for you. Maybe it's something you want to bury the hatchet on. I don't know. But for me, it's I want people to know the various things about Christianity. I want them to know the problems. I want them to not have shame about their body, their sex,
That's right.
I don't want people to live in guilt or fear. That's my hope, is to help people be free from it. And I know that you have a similar thing. It's just I think you and your wife should talk, and then you make the right family decision, whatever you guys want to do. But I support whatever decision you make. But if they don't want to hear, I mean, they're going to want to hear, the people in my audience right now are going to go, tell me about the dirty scandals and tell me how Joseph Smith did this and tell me about that. Because you're going to obviously have some good stuff.
Well, and I think one thing that Garth just said that I like is maybe it probably would be easier for me to talk about the deconstructing process that I went through because I just feel like that there are better Mormon historians than me out on, like John Hamer, Greg Prince. Anyway.
Yeah. I think it is good to talk, though. You are, again, got to brag on you, since the genealogies have been on forever. You are a direct descendant of the scribe of Joseph Smith. And I hope that sinks into our audience. Your great-great-granddad literally was there in the room with him, Joseph Smith, and Hiram Smith. And we're talking about
Section 132.
Section 132. There's some raw stuff that your family comes from. And I just think that's interesting for me. One more, Gary Fire. Thank you for that super chat. Go through the Book of Mormon verse by verse, coming from a Jack Mormon's perspective.
Okay. That could be. So basically, you know, going through the Book of Mormon like we did with Doctrine and Covenants with the historical context around it at the time. That would be interesting. And I don't know if that's new, and maybe that hasn't been done. The way we dissected it, right? Yeah.
Like, and notice,
like with thinking, okay, Oliver Cowdery's sitting there with Joseph Smith as they're talking about this,
right? And remember, yeah, I love that perspective because look, Bryce Blankenagel will come in, he'll make some guesses, he'll do his thing. He's not sure, he takes his own positions on things. You have your own that you're not going to agree with him on,
yeah,
and that's okay. And Bryce likes stuff like that, you know. Like,
and I'm very recent. I mean, a lot more recent than Bryce,
right?
So I mean, and I was a high counselor. I was, you know, I had some pretty high positions in the church.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Bryce didn't, but that's all very recent. So I know about the temple changes. I know about the SEC, you know, that it's pretty recent.
Okay. Well, let's encourage Gary to do something, right? Gary, we're at our time.
Yeah, we're going to have to get on a plane.
Yep. I really appreciate everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of time. Thank you to everybody, of course, always for super chats, and subscribe to my buddy Gary's YouTube channel, and it's called Topic Discuss. And let's encourage him. Go chat on his other videos and say, Gary, what's up? We want to hear this Mormonism. You know, we want to hear this Mormonism.
Or other topics that you want me to talk about.
Yeah, he'll talk about whatever. But let him know. Encourage him. Show him some love. Subscribe there. I really appreciate it. And Gary Stone.
Peace out.
Peace out. And we're going to get to our intro. Here we go.
Son, do you want to know what the truth is? After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill and you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland. And I show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.